The vision here at St. Paul's United Methodist Church is to be a community that loves like Jesus. Now, what does that mean? Well, there are three words that you really need to pay attention to there, which is community, love, and Jesus. The first one, community, means that it is important that you are in a group of people, a community where you can live out your faith together. And it is true that you can have a personal relationship with God, and each of us has that, this individualized and personal relationship with God. God knows each one of us in our own uniqueness. But at the same time, it's really important to be involved in community, because when you are together with other people, it expands your horizons. It helps you see things from a different perspective. It helps you understand how God could love and interact with someone who is very different than you. And it gives you someone to serve, someone to love, someone to be humble before. So community is really important for our faith development. The other part of it is love, and love is a verb that activates our faith. So if you can think about how we live in the world as followers of Christ, we do that by the way that we love. And we know what love looks like by following the example of Christ. That's why the last part of the vision statement, to love like Jesus, is so important, because when we love, we are modeling and following the example of Christ. So when you think of who Jesus is the incarnation. And the incarnation means that this is God living among us. So if you look at the person of Jesus, then you are looking at God in human form, living among us, and we get to see what God would be like in the world. So all the stories that we read in Scripture, all of the different interactions that Jesus has with people, this is what God would do in specific situations. So Jesus gives us an example to follow. And Jesus always talked about love. So whenever he was pressed and asked what's the most important commandment, Jesus said it's to love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. So Jesus, when he was forced to pick and choose or to summarize the law, he went back to love. The other thing that Jesus did is when he gathered the disciples one last time for the Last Supper, he humbled himself before them. He got down on his hands and knees. He washed their feet. And then he said, I want to give you a new commandment, to love one another as I have loved you. Again, this final moment in his life, one last chance to give a final teaching, and Jesus points back to love. Another scripture that's been really important to me is 1 Peter 4:8. And in that particular scripture, it says, above all else, love one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. So when you think about who we are as a people, we are sinful. We hurt each other. Sometimes we do it knowingly. Sometimes we do it unknowingly, but we still sin against one another, and that causes harm, and it causes tears in the relationship. But our ability to love can cover that up. So first and foremost, we have to have love. That's why it's so important.